The crime families are some of the most notorious and powerful organized crime organizations in the world. They are well known for their strict code of silence and the outrageous rules they impose on members. These rules include a ban on talking to law enforcement, killing without permission, cooperating with authorities, and giving out information about the family or its members. Let's learn 5 of the craziest rules they live with.
Crazy, 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 crazy.
No cooperation. No family member is allowed to cooperate with law enforcement. The 5 American crime families have a protracted and convoluted history with law enforcement. The official stance of all 5 crime families, however, is that they do not work with law enforcement and will not divulge details of their operations. This policy is based on the assumption that any cooperation with law enforcement could result in criminal charges being brought against the families and members of those families. As a result, the leadership of each of the 5 crime families has adopted a rigorous policy of not cooperating with law enforcement, and this policy is upheld. The crime families were significantly impacted by the law enforcement personnel. They started looking into the 5 families and their actions, which ultimately resulted in the arrest and conviction of numerous family members, including Anthony Provenzano and Guti Sr.
You're under arrest.
To tackle this, there's a rule on discreet operations. Keep watching to find out the mysterious rules that keep them in line and force them to carry out their operations in a discreet manner. You'll learn what methods they use to keep their business running and discover why they're so successful at staying under the radar. Dispute resolutions. All disputes between families must be resolved peacefully. The criminal families have a long-standing tradition of choosing nonviolent discussion over violent conflict resolution. They are aware that violence simply breeds more violence and can cause their enterprises to fail. To that aim, all issues must be first aired and settled by courteous, nonviolent means. If the parties are able to come to a mutually advantageous arrangement, they must abide by it. A mediator or other impartial third party who can assist the parties in reaching a resolution used to settle disagreements and hostilities between competing families. Vengeance has also been utilized to uphold power and authority inside the families.
My authority aired.
In the end, retaliation plays a significant role in the development of the 5 crime families and their methods of operation. It is suspected that the murder of Jimmy Hoffa was a retaliatory move against him. Discreet operations. All illegal activities must be conducted in secret. 5 crime groups have traditionally maintained a stringent confidentiality requirement for all unlawful activity. Any family member who is discovered discussing the family's activities with strangers threatens severe repercussions, including banishment or even death. This law has been in effect for a long time and is scrupulously held. The families are also required to abide by a rule of silence, which forbids members from ever giving information on one another to the police or any other law enforcement body. The families were under a great deal of stress as a result, which made it much more difficult for them to function.
Difficult, very difficult.
Are you intrigued by the crime family's mysterious obeisance rule? Keep watching to find more about it. We'll explore the history behind the rule, who enforces it, and what could happen if someone were to disobey it. So stick around to learn more about this. Ban on vengeance. No family member is allowed to take vengeance against another family. The 5 crime families' members have a stringent no revenge policy. Any act of retaliation against a member of the family will obviously have serious repercussions. In addition, any effort at retaliation against a member of the family will be seen as disrespectful and will be punished accordingly. Any form of retaliation is forbidden by the 5 families and will not be accepted. The 5 crime families have been significantly impacted by retribution. It has been applied to compel fidelity and prevent family members from betraying one another. It has also been applied to improve relationships and foster family members' trust. Indirect or discreet wrongdoers against the family have been punished with vengeance in the past. As a result, there is now a culture of violence and intimidation that is applied to keep the families under control.
Everything's under control!
Obeisance. All family members must obey the orders of the head of the family. All of the members of the crime families are generally expected to submit to them completely. This implies that any directives issued by the family senior members must be heeded without exception. Serious penalties such as expulsion from the family or even death can be meted out for any disobedience or reluctance to follow the leaders of the family. For the 5 criminal families, obedience was a fundamental principle because it was considered as a means of preserving loyalty and order within their groups. Obedience required that members of the families respect the elders, adhere to the family's norms and regulations, and uphold the family's code of conduct. Members also had to be prepared to follow instructions without hesitation, no matter how unpleasant the job could be.
You treat it like a job. An unpleasant job.
The members of the crime families were taught discipline and loyalty through obedience. This gets us to the story of the head of the Genovese family, Anthony Provenzano, and the alleged murder of Anthony Castellitto, as well as the realization that Secret Buzzer will almost likely cover any significant occurrence. Now that's out of the way, here's a link to that video. Did Genovese boss Anthony Provenzano murder Anthony Castellitto? We perform an in-depth investigation of his formidable caporegime within the Genovese crime family's New Jersey section. Thank you for watching this video. We'll see you later.